Okay, folks, so when I say whoosh, you say whoa, all right? So whoosh, whoa, whoosh, whoa, whoosh, whoa. How's it going, folks? It's Pat here from Asphalt Green's Recess Enhancement Program. I'm here with another instructional video for you, this time for our game, Whoosh. Now, before we hop into the overview of the game, it's important that we start off the way we always do, and that is with the safety check, of course. So, before we start any game and after we finish any game, it's always important that we and our students are washing our hands for at least 20 seconds with soap and water, okay? We also want to make sure that nobody's hands are ever going anywhere near their faces, okay? And if anybody ever has to cough or sneeze, we're just going to encourage them to dab so that they're coughing or sneezing into their elbow. We also want to make sure that at all points during the game, everyone is maintaining at least 6 feet of distance between each other. That way, everyone is properly social distanced at all times, and therefore, everyone is safe. So, once you finish your safety check and you're feeling like we're ready to roll, we're ready to get into this, I just need you to give me 2 whooshes. Whoosh, whoosh. And we'll get started. So it seems like everyone's ready to go. So as mentioned, the name of the game is Whoosh. What's the name of the game? Oh, I'm sorry, I can't hear you over the wind. Oh, that's just you saying whoosh. Oh, okay, yes, the name of the game is Whoosh. Now, this is a great game for students in 3rd grade up through 8th grade, or students within that age range or ability level range. As to where this game can be played, well, it's a circle game. So long as the space you choose allows for students to form a circle and allows them to do that while still remaining 6 feet apart from every other student in that circle, well, you can play this game there, okay? So you can play this out on the playground, you can play it in the gymnasium, and if you have a hallway that's big enough to have something akin to a circle or a full-blown circle, well, go for it, okay? Whatever is safest, all right? Speaking of safety, another reason why this game is so safe is because no equipment is needed for this game whatsoever. So students won't be sharing any of the same items, which means they won't be touching any of the same things. The only equipment that you might use for this game would be cones or tape to mark off the boundaries, okay? But this entire game can be played without equipment, which means that we have safety covered, as we always do. And fun is a byproduct of safety, which means that this game is going to be an absolute blast. Toss in that it's a rep game, and the fun just cannot be contained, all right? So, let's get into the details so I can really show you why the fun can't be contained for this game, okay? And as we always do when discussing the details, we like to rep it out. So we'll start with R, ready, and talk a little bit about how we can get ready for whoosh. So the first thing that you're going to want to do in order to get ready for whoosh is map out your play space and designate your boundaries. As mentioned, this is a circle game. So you're going to want to find a play space that allows for your students to form a circle while still remaining 6 feet apart from every other student in that circle, okay? Once you found that play space though, you can just visually mark off where you want the boundaries for the play space to be, okay? After doing that, you can then move into a safety sweep. So you can remove any items in your play space that might pose a safety risk to you or your students during the game, and you can have a think about how you're going to work around any items that maybe can't be moved. After you finish your safety sweep, you can then begin to lay out equipment. So that boundary that you visually marked off earlier on, well, now you can put some visual markers down for that. So you can put down cones or tape just to mark off the boundaries so students know where they're playing. Once you finish that and you're like, this play space is looking great, it's big enough for all of my students, it's super safe, and the equipment just looks fantastic out there, well, then you'll be ready to gather up your students, okay? And you can gather them up by having them form a circle while still standing 6 feet apart from one another. You can have them line up on one edge of the play space and while standing 6 feet apart, or you can just have them gather on up around you while still standing 6 feet apart from everyone else, all right? And in order to help you do that, you can use the attention grabber that I used at the beginning of this video, which is when I say whoosh, you say whoa, all right? So whoosh, whoa, whoosh, whoa, whoosh, whoa, right? And all right, can I have everybody form a circle within the boundaries? And please make sure that you're standing 6 feet apart from everybody else in the circle. All right? And once everybody's gathered up, well, you're ready to move into E, explain. Now, when explaining a game, it's super important that you use a loud and clear voice. That way, all of your students will be able to hear you and understand you. You also want to make sure that as you're giving the instructions, you're asking students specific questions about those instructions. That way you can check for understanding and also clarify anything that maybe you weren't super clear on. So a few suggestions that we have for you in regards to questions. Well, we'd suggest you ask, well, how do you become a double woad whoosher? And what happens when you become a double woad whoosher, all right? Now, I know that sounds a little silly, but it will make a lot more sense as we talk through the instructions of the game, okay? So how about I do that right now, and you follow along on the instruction sheet that you found on our website. So the first rule of Whoosh is something that you'll already have students doing, and that is to circle on up and stand 6 feet apart from one another. Once students have circled up though, feel free to join the circle, all right? And you can explain to all of the students that all of you will be passing around the whoosh. And you can show them the whoosh. It's right there, don't you see it? You can explain that throughout the game, the whoosh is just going to be going to all different people in the circle, okay? And that whoever has the whoosh at any point during the game is the whoosher, all right? You can say to start the game, you, facilitator, will be the first whoosher, okay? To start off the game then, you can pass the whoosh to someone on your right or your left, okay? And the way that you will pass the whoosh is by turning to them and saying whoosh while lifting your arms like that at them, right? So say I wanted to pass it to the person on my right, I just turn to the person on my right and say whoosh, right? So whoever I've passed the whoosh off to will have the opportunity to respond in one of 3 ways. They can either whoosh, zap, or whoa. Okay? If they choose to whoosh, right, that means that they will continue to pass the whoosh on in the same direction it's been going. So say I turned to the person on my right, I said whoosh, they will then turn to the person on their right and say whoosh, and they'll just keep passing the whoosh, right? If they choose to zap, they will then clap point at somebody else in the circle, right? Say zap, right? And whoever was zapped will then receive the whoosh. Okay, and they'll become the new whoosher. And then as the new whoosher, they will have the option to pass the whoosh to the person on their right, pass the whoosh to the person on their left, or to clap point and zap the whoosh to somebody else in the circle, okay? But if they decide, actually, I don't want to pass the whoosh at all, right, in any way, they can just say, whoa, okay? So they'll put both their hands up like this to me, right? And just say, whoa. So I said whoosh to the person on my right. They looked at me and said, whoa, all right? And what happens there is that the whoosh gets redirected back to me and I remain the whoosher, all right? And then as the whoosher who has just been whoed, I have one of 2 options, okay? I can turn to the person on my left and pass the whoosh to them, or I can clap point, say zap, and zap the whoosh to somebody else in the circle, okay? Now, you can only whoa a whoosh, okay? So that means that you can't whoa a zap, and you can't whoa a whoa, all right? So, what will happen during this game is that as people are whooshing and zapping and whoaing, the whoosh will just be passed all around the circle, okay? But say there comes an instance, right, where somebody decides to whoosh the person on their right, and that person says whoa, and then they decide to turn to the person on their left and pass the whoosh to them, and then that person also says whoa, well, then the person who was just whoed twice becomes a double whoed whoosher, all right? And then once the whole group notices that, they go double whoed whoosher. And the double whoed whoosher will then have to do 5 seconds of silly dancing, 5 jumping jacks, 5 squats, something of that nature, okay? It could be 10 jumping jacks, 10 squats, 10 seconds of silly dancing, whatever it might be, right? And then once that has been completed, once the double whoed whoosher has completed their activity, well then a new round starts. They will begin as the lead whoosher, right? And then they can start off another round by turning to the person on the right or to the person on their left saying whoosh, all right? And that is whoosh, all right? So that's an explanation of the rules for whoosh. So how about now we move on to the final portion of the rep model, P, play, and talk a little bit about how we can play the game so students are abiding by those rules. And how we can play the game so as to keep it interesting and engaging for students, all right? Before we can do that though, when I say whoosh, you say whoa. Whoosh, whoa, whoosh, whoa, whoosh, whoa. And can I have everyone gather up and stand 6 feet apart from one another? Brilliant stuff, folks, brilliant. So one of the first things we would suggest you do is practice all of the different motions and with each of the different commands, okay? You can practice whoosh, you can practice zap, and you can practice whoa, all right? And then maybe you can do a practice round or two with all of your students. The whole idea is to get your students more comfortable with what it is they'll be doing so that the game runs more smoothly for them and is therefore more fun. And the game runs more smoothly for you and is therefore more fun, okay? Once the game gets going though, as always, you want to remind students to maintain at least 6 feet of distance between each other at all times. And you'll also want to keep a lookout for any students who seem to be consistently becoming a double woad whoosher, all right? So, if you're noticing that students seem to be trying to get one student or two students or a few students to be the double woad whoosher like all of the time, what you can do is you can add an immunity clause, okay? So you can say, if anybody's ever been the double woad whoosher twice in a row, well, they can't be the double woad whoosher the next round. And if you notice it still keeps happening, well, you can say for 2 rounds, 3 rounds, or for the rest of the game, you know? So just to kind of get out ahead of conflict before it arises, right? You can throw in that immunity clause, all right? Now, if you were looking to mix up the game, well, we have a couple of options for you. The first one is to add in the command boing, all right? So the whoosher has the option to boing, all right? And boinging means that the whoosher will say boing, do a squat, and then the whole rest of the group will have to say boing and do a squat with them, okay? And the whoosher can only boing 3 times in a row, all right? That's it. And then once those 3 times are up, if they so choose to go 3 times, well, then they'll need to whoosh, pass the whoosh to someone on the right or left, zap and pass the whoosh to somebody across the circle, all right? Another command you can add in is freak out, all right? And so if the whoosher ever says freak out, everyone in the circle, including the whoosher, will have to do a silly dance for 5 seconds, all right? They'll just have to get real silly, all right? And the whoosher can only say freak out twice in a row, okay? They can't go more than that. Then once, they've decided I've gotten my 2 freakouts out of the way, or maybe they've just done 1 and they're like, that was enough. Well, then they have the option to pass the whoosh to someone on the right, to their left, or to zap the whoosh to somebody else, okay? So after a boing or after a freakout, it always just comes back to the whoosher, all right? And then they choose what they're going to do next. So those are just some commands you can add in. But if students are like, this is too easy, I'm too comfortable with these commands, man, nothing's even, I'm just getting bored. Well, you can add in another challenging aspect to the game, and that is a time limit on how long students have to choose what command they're going to perform, okay? So if you notice students have been taking some time, right? Maybe they're taking like 10 seconds to choose. Well, maybe you can knock it down to 5. Maybe you can knock it down to 3 or 2 seconds. They just have to do something instantaneously, right? And if they make a mistake, or if they take too long, well, then they have to do 5 seconds of silly dancing, 5 jumping jacks, 5 squats, something, all right? That'll just add in a little bit more of a challenging aspect to the game, all right? So those are our tips and suggestions, but if you have anything else that you'd like to add to the game that you think is going to make it more fun, more challenging, more active, well, we're all about that, and we definitely encourage you to do that. So that's the end of our tips and suggestions, which means that we're at the end of the rep model and therefore the end of this video, all right? Now, before we all head off, when I say whoosh, you say whoa. Whoosh, whoa, whoosh, whoa, whoosh, whoa. And then can you gather on up and stand 6 feet apart from one another, all right? Brilliant. And I'm just gathering up so I can say thank you. Thank you for following along on this video. Hope you found it useful, and I hope you have a great time playing Whoosh with your students, okay? Feel free to check out our website for even more fantastic games, and we'll catch you the next time, all right?